Here we go. Welcome in. Welcome in. Good gracious alive. It's a Monday, and it is already football season. Here we go. Yes. How about Monday of a game week? You feeling good about that? So get on in here. Welcome in on this Monday. I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go! With the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau Insurance all across the great state of Mississippi. Your hometown heroes, that's your local Farm Bureau Insurance agents. Beeve is here. Y'all are here. Got the whole gang, so get on in here. You can be a part of the show. Hope you will be. And whatever you want to get into is cool with me. We got one more week of previewing, and then we can do some reviewing. Hey, but at least it's game week. You got game week press conferences happening today. You've got depth charts being released. That's it. Southern Miss getting the stadium all pressure washed and cleaned up and ready for state coming in there this weekend. We ought to have a good time. And, yeah, so anything's on the table on this Monday. So comment on the live stream if you're out there in Facebook or YouTube land or X, formerly Twitter. Feel free to drop a comment, pop it in the column there. I can see it. And we'll put it up on the screen. You can also text me on the Country Pleasing text line. The number to text is 885-3776. Call me. Why don't you? Call me on the brand new Junction phone. Junction Deli's convenience redefined. Fueled by Prince Oil Company. Fuel in Central Mississippi since 1960. They put fuel in your gas tank, fuel in your belly. That's it. So the number to call, 897-1059. 601 number, 897-1059. Give me a call. Yeah, look, so plenty of headlines. You actually do have some scores. How's that feel? You know, and if you're a diehard, I'm sure you watched a little college football this weekend, didn't you? But, I mean, you actually have some scores. All right, so get on in here. And Sven is the first comment. He's on YouTube. And he's about to send me something here. He says, "You will not believe what you will read, but I promise I checked it all up and it's the truth." So, Sven, I'm waiting. I'm on the edge of my seat. To watch Kansas State and Iowa State this past weekend. Who won that game? Iowa State won. That was a pretty good ball game, wasn't it? You know, regretfully, I do say that I had a whole lot of stuff going on, and there was not time to just sit down and plop down in front of the TV and watch those week, one half. It's half of a week. It's not week 0. It's also not week 1. So I didn't get to watch all those games. But parts of different games, a few recaps here and there. Enjoyed that. But Sven, I'd love to hear what your experience was as far as traveling to Dublin and the weather and all that kind of stuff. Love to hear from you that way. Get on here. Let me check in. It's a Monday after what is an opening weekend. Let's see how good old buddy, old pal Beaver might be doing on this beautiful Monday. Hey, Beav. Do I got you? Okay, we'll check in with him in a minute. Hey, but speaking of beautiful Monday, look at here. A low tonight in North Mississippi of 65 degrees. How's that feel? Listen, this morning when I got up, went outside with Jasper the dog, we kind of looked at each other. He looked at me, and I looked at him. I was like, whoa. I think it was like 62 degrees out there. And then tomorrow, now it looks like, at least in my part of the state, we might get a little rain. But they're saying tomorrow we'll have a little front come through, bring some rain, a high of 80, and tomorrow night the low is 56 degrees. What is that even going to feel like in the, at the end of August? I don't know. Wednesday, high of 84, low 61. North Mississippi going to get some rain Thursday, Friday, and then look, this is, again, North Mississippi, but Saturday, the temperature that I'm seeing for Saturday, a high of 85, a low of 63. So, it's not cool by any stretch, but it is certainly not hot by any stretch either. What are they saying for Hattiesburg? I mean, it's going to be close, similar, within a degree or two, right? Because they're still pretty warm, and it's going to get hot today in Hattiesburg. The high is getting on up there, but it's cooling off there too. And, okay, right now, what they're saying Saturday in Hattiesburg, 35% chance of some rain throughout the day, high of 85, low of 69. So if that happens, it'll be pretty tolerable compared to what it could be this time of year. I'm looking forward to that. All right, get on in here. Let's see. Denzel text the show, country pleasing text line. Country pleasing sausage on grocery store shelves all around the Southeast. It's the best. I'm finishing up some jalapeno and cheddar. Up next, pork and pineapple. It won't be long. White Denzel says, few things. Dan Mullen struggled against an FCS opponent on Saturday. So UNLV and whoever they played, Idaho State or something like that. They won the game, did kind of struggle. I mean, it's his first game at UNLV. He says the only thing missing was him wearing shorts. I would imagine that's over with. I would imagine that's the end of that. Denzel then said Madison Central takes on the Fighting Pirates of Pearl this Friday. Beaver is pumped, and Union takes on the Fighting Marcus Dupree's. That's Philadelphia for you non-ball knowers. And then says in all caps, can't wait. Bart Scott, can't wait. All-time sound clip. Looking forward to that. Man, listen, Denzel, I don't know yet. I'm still putting the plans together, but I think since we got to be in Hattiesburg early on Friday, I think I'm going to get to be at West Jones on Friday night. They're playing Laurel. And so I've seen West Jones play in person before, but never at West Jones. And so I might get a chance to take that one in. But part of me really wants to be at that Tupelo and Brandon game. According to Jake, Brandon's varsity played really well in that scrimmage against Warren Central. And I think he said the high school kids scored like 31 points. And that's just in the Jamboree scrimmage. They were mixing it up quarter and quarter. Tupelo, who they play? Columbus. Tupelo scrimmage Columbus and didn't have any trouble there. That was a shutout. And D1 athletes on both. Yeah, I would love to be able to see that one. I don't know how I can pull that off. How far is it from Brandon to West Jones to So-So? What did it take me? 2 hours? 3? I don't know if I could fit them both in. I might try it, though. All right, let's get back over here. Sven, who went to the Iowa State-Kansas State game, he says Iowa State won, but Kansas State lost their star running back, Edwards, and the quarterback looked absolutely terrible. Okay, there's Sven's take on the game. Gene in all caps says Hail State from Vicksburg. What's up, Gene? Welcome on in here on this Monday. It's not a reaction Monday, but boy, this time next week it will be. We were that close. Craig says on YouTube, Georgia wins the college football playoff this season. My prediction has Georgia defeating Clemson in the championship game. There you go. There you go, Craig. Got to get it in before the first week, right? And you're welcome to change your mind, but he's got Georgia winning it over Clemson this year. As far as the weather in Ireland for the game, Sven said it was rainy but warm. A lot of Iowa State, Kansas State fans were there, so they had good attendance over there in Ireland. Okay, and then he said this: what college football should do is send greens and turf keepers 2 weeks earlier over there and take care of that turf. It was in bad shape. All right, Sven, I mentioned I couldn't sit down and watch the game. I'm running around. At one point in the car, I turned on the radio and was able to, on the satellite deal and find the, I think it was the Iowa State broadcast. And the first thing I heard them talking about was that you couldn't see the lines on the field because the groundskeeper, the green, turf management person for that soccer stadium in Ireland, one, didn't like the idea of hosting a football game there at that time, and two, certainly was not tickled about the idea of having to paint lines all over it. So he kind of like, they insinuated that they had a lot of trouble getting this guy to put any lines on the field. And he finally reluctantly did it, but it was not like the best paint. It's some stuff that they can easily remove. And he said, so during the course of the game, I think maybe it rained on it. At least that's what they said. I wasn't seeing it. You would know. But he said, you can't see the lines. And it's because they didn't want to paint it in the first place. Or whatever kind of stadium it is. Jason out in Flagstaff, Arizona says, I listened to the whole second half of that UNLV game the other day, running around town. He said, it's baffling to me how Mullen is so consistent with getting production from quarterbacks and running backs. 50 new players on that roster, and still. Look, Jason, in terms of designing an offense intelligently, okay, around what the kids can do best so that they can go do it and do it very well. And then design the whole thing around it, and then out-coach the other guys and call plays around it. Do it week to week and game plan. Mullen was always fantastic at that. Always. He was as a coordinator. That's what kind of got him a chance as a head coach. He's fantastic at that. And it's not, bringing up old stuff and trying to twist it. I'm just telling you the truth. I always said it. If you go back and really pay attention to what State's offense did and looked like year to year to year based on who their quarterback was when Mullen was coaching, it's pretty incredible how he would, from one year to the next, the offense could and would look totally different based on who's playing quarterback for him. And it was all about, all right, we've identified these things. Here's what he does best. Here's what he doesn't. So we're not going to do those, and we're going to do this, what he does best. And really the only example you can find, Jason, of a quarterback sort of changing who he was during the course of his time of playing for Dan Mullen was Dak Prescott. It's only one. From 14 to 15, Dak was a different guy. And that's what got him drafted and has kept him in the NFL, was that transition over to a guy who could read the whole field. All right, look, we're still really early here in hour one. Plenty of text to come to, comments on the live stream, YouTube, Facebook, elsewhere. But let's not go too much further. Let's hit headlines on this Monday.
Good evening. I'm Ron Burgundy, and this is what's happening in your world.
Good evening, and welcome to Eyewitness News.
Here's what's making news.
Headlines on the show brought to you by the Mortgage Man Group, powered by Illuminate Bank right here in Mississippi. Anything mortgage related, statewide. Buying, refinancing, whatever, go right there. Start right there, mortgagemangroup.com. See, my man went. Tell him I said hey. Headline number one is the Cowboys get down to their 53-man roster. They have told veteran offensive lineman La'el Collins that he is among the players they are going to release. Longtime teammate of Dak's, of course, played at LSU in college. They're going to release La'el Collins. So a little bit of an end of an era on that offensive line for the Cowboys. Speaking of, Cowboys coach Brian Schottenheimer said he's going to meet with Micah Parsons to talk about his behavior during the Friday preseason game against Atlanta. Early in the third quarter, Parsons, who didn't play, they caught him laying on one of the medical tables taking a nap in street clothes during the game. How about them Cowboys? Big baby. Big old baby. Also in the NFL, the Buccaneers are waiving rookie safety Shiloh Sanders, Deion Sanders' son. That's according to agents. The Buccaneers have told Sanders he's going to be waived. His agent, by the way, is Drew Rosenhaus. Y'all know who that is. They played the Buffalo Bills. He got in a fight. He got thrown out of the game for throwing a punch at the tight end for the Bills, and so they threw him out of the game. Now they're waving him. And, there is one question about all this. That stuff pops up as headlines. You do have to ask, do the Sanders kids get a little, almost too much attention, good and bad, just simply because of who their dad is? Maybe that's just the way it is, and it's unavoidable. And then here on the college side, now check this out. Here's a blast from the past you might have lost track of. According to sources, Kentucky football, that's Mark Stoops, Wildcats, Kentucky football has named transfer Zach Calzada as their starting quarterback. Remember that name? Yep, Zach Calzada, a seventh-year senior who started his college career at Texas A&M back in 2019. He was there at A&M through 2021. Then he transferred to Auburn, 2022. Then after Auburn, he spent 2 years at Incarnate Word in the FCS, the last 2 years. Now, that included a number 2 finish in the FCS in passing touchdowns. He threw 35 TDs last year. He was 5th in passing yards in the FCS. Of course, he had them in the playoffs last year. I watched one of their playoff games. He was quarterbacking. I didn't know he had another year, but he does. He's at Kentucky, and he has now been named their starting quarterback. And those are your headlines. Brought to you by the Mortgage Man Group, powered by Illuminate Bank right here in Mississippi. Here in the metro, places like Starkville and Oxford and Tupelo and all the way to Memphis and all points in between. Anything mortgage related, go there. That's mortgagemanms.com, mortgagemanms.com. Oh, scores? All right, look. Why not? Iowa State over Kansas State by a field goal, 24-21. So, Dan Mullen and UNLV, they won their game 38-31 over Idaho State. The thing about it is they were down 10-0 early in the game and then outscored them 38-21 the rest of the way. Kansas and Fresno State, not close. Kansas looked good. Kansas was up 24-7 at half, won the game 31-7. Western Kentucky beat the tar out of Sam Houston 41-24. I had to look it up because I couldn't remember, but Will Friend, who spent 1 year on the coaching staff at State under Zach Arnett, who was Western Kentucky's offensive coach last year, and I thought, is he still there? And I looked it up. No, Will Friend is off to be the offensive line coach at North Carolina this year for Bill Belichick. So somebody else is the coordinator at Western Kentucky, where they continue to play good offense. They beat Sam Houston 41-24. And then Saturday night, Hawaii over Stanford 23-20. Hail State fans said on YouTube, a win over Stanford is like a win over MSU. It means nothing. Well, thanks. Let's see. Okay, that was in response to Craig. Craig said Hawaii defeated Stanford. The Rainbow Warriors already had a win against a Power 4 team. Timmy Chang has got the program going, it seems. Well, maybe so. Maybe so. I don't know what kind of shape Stanford's in. I mean, I have no earthly idea. Blind Squirrel, our favorite Georgia fan around here, said, I'll always remember Dan Mullen's take on Georgia winning the SEC in 2017. He said, even a blind squirrel finds it nuts sometimes. Did he really say that about Georgia winning it? You think he meant it? Sven says the Cowboys are a 6-7 win team. They are terrible. I'll be surprised, Sven, if they win that many. Really, they don't look like a 6-win team to me. I know they're playing, 19 games? 18? 17? 17 games. And that'll be, the Cowboys are going to be near the bottom of everything this year. That's what I think. All right, over to the text line, the country-pleasing text line. Dennis, formerly of Omaha, says, thank you, Canada. Keep it coming until January. Then you can stop it with the cold air. I know, Dennis. See, I can remember, well, not specifically, I just vaguely, sometime over the last 5 to 6, 7, 8 years. We had a couple of times where we would get that little bit of a false fall, but it was early August. And we got it again this year. You'll remember the false fall for 2 or 3 days. You're like, wow, early August. But I don't ever remember getting another one. We just get one. Well, this time we're getting two because here it is again. I'm telling you, no matter what, barring unforeseen circumstances, barring a disaster, I will be outdoors tonight building a fire somewhere. No, I'm not saying it's not going to be really cool. Okay, because after a day of heating up with North Mississippi, we're still going to feel like 90. I'm just saying cool enough to make me want to build a fire. I'm doing it. Period. The end. Going to build one. MSU 1980. All right, he says, Matt, you should be able to go from Brandon to So-So in about an hour and 15 minutes if you leave the game early before everybody's trying to. All right, so I could do, theoretically, I could do like first quarter Brandon Tupelo, get in the car and maybe make it to late third, fourth quarter of West Jones Laurel. Huh. That might just be the ticket right there. It might be worth a shot anyway. All right. Welcome in. Just getting started with y'all here today. We're going to hear from Jeff Levy at his first game week press conference of 2025. That happened earlier today. I'll let you hear what he said and more. All coming up in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Back after this.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi. Local agents in all 82 counties. So here's what that means. You have that fender bender, hopefully you don't, but let's say you do at an odd time. Something goes on. It's Saturday night at 11 p.m. You don't have to wait until Monday morning to call some 800 number and talk to someone 3 states away. You've got your agent's phone number right there on your phone because you go to church with him. Your kids go to school together. He lives right down the road. You see each other at the ball games on Friday nights. So it's personal with your local Farm Bureau insurance agent in all 82 counties in this entire state. And if anything does arise and you need to, run it up the chain or up the flagpole, the home offices for Farm Bureau Insurance are in Jackson, Mississippi. It's right here in the state of Mississippi. It doesn't get more local than and personal, the service that you get with Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi. I can't recommend them highly enough. And if you haven't, recently, let them give you a quote. Home, life, auto. It's Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Well, look at what we have here. Christmas come early. Boom. Little green onion country pleasing. That's not all. Little original smoked sausage flavor. That's not all. Jalapeno and cheddar. It has to be one of my favorite, just judging by how much of that stuff I eat. Oh, can't forget. Andouille. Don't be saying andouille, it's andouille. And last, but not least, pork and pineapple, bun size, 3 links bun size. Look at that right there. Be careful. Come on with it. It's mine. Come here, jalapeno. Oh, that's all mine. Country pleasing sausage. We'll be right back after this message from C Spire. My name is Matt Wyatt. I host the Matt Wyatt radio show out of my home using C Spire fiber.
And when we hit the road as a family, Matt's show goes with us, thanks to C Spire Wireless.
Its ultra-reliable nationwide network lets me broadcast live from anywhere.
And never miss a moment that matters.
Connecting you to what inspires you most on C Spire's blazing fast 5G network. And right now, get your choice of free phone. That's customer inspired. That's C Spire.
Y'all like coffee? I know you do. Check it out. Little High Point Roasters from New Albany, Mississippi. That is the breakfast blend. It's whole bean. And if you notice, that's how much I've had already. Brazil Oberon. Not Orgeron or Orgeron, you LSU. No, Brazil Oberon. That ain't all. What we got there? What flavor is that? Papua New Guinea, grade AA. Bring it on. High Point Roasters, New Albany, Mississippi. Roast it right there. That's whole bean. One more. I got more. Ah, tried and true. Magnolia Blend.
At the Zone 1059 and coming to you worldwide at thezone1059.com.
All right, here we go. Austin, he's a State fan. He said, sure would be nice to trade Georgia or Texas for like a Kentucky game this year, wouldn't it? Yeah, got to play Kentucky all those years. And, you know, I was not complaining about it. It's fine. It's just that when they told you it was a rivalry, like, yeah, okay, whatever, it's not. But okay, whatever. But still, it would be nice to play them as opposed to some of these fire-breathing mini NFL teams they put together like Georgia and Kentucky, wouldn't it? By the way, that noise is a little hot coffee from High Point Roasters in New Albany, Mississippi. This is the Magnolia Blend, who, if you watch the commercials on the live stream, you saw that. Got a nice emblem on the front of the bag of coffee that kind of resembles the new state flag. High Point Roasters. Go to highpointroasters.com. Get some coffee today. What's up, Grayson? Hey to you. Thanks for tuning in on Facebook. Will says, happy Monday, Matt. Pretty decent weekend of week 0 football. Yeah, pretty decent, right? Pretty decent. Mr. Harmon gave us a Hail State with a bunch of L's in there, all caps, and then said Kansas looked really good. They did, didn't they? You know, like a good football team. But again, you know, like I see some of that early in the year, and then you just never really know about the opponent as well. You just, you know, you don't know. Or I don't know is what I should say. Sven says Kansas looked legit. He said, I watched the game just 2 hours ago. Missouri is in for a rude awakening week 2. So Missouri, well, they have a couple extra days to prepare for it too, right? Because Missouri plays this Thursday night, their season opener, Central Arkansas. They're at home in Missouri. So a couple of extra days to get ready for Kansas. What'll be Missouri's week 2 game? I guess it'll be Kansas's week 3. Something like that. Sound about right? Jason in Flagstaff says, you might be interested in this. He texts the show specifically where he's talking about today's NIL. This is Dan Mullen. Oh, okay. Today's NIL versus how he developed talent when he was the coach at State. Okay. Yeah, thanks for the link. CBS Sports link from Jason's story with Dan Mullen about today's environment versus when he was the coach at State. I will read that. Thanks for sending that along. Also on the country pleasing text line, Nick says, hey, man, a lot of people go to college for 7 years. What was it, Tommy Boy? In Tommy Boy, that conversation, was it 7 or 9? And he said a lot of people go to college for 9 years, or maybe it was 7. Yeah, I know they're called doctors. Rebel Godfather texted the show, and he said, go see the story on the Hawaii kicker. All right, I'll have to go check that out. What am I looking for? And then J-Rock says, on the country pleasing text line, he says, kickoff in Hattiesburg Saturday should be around 80 degrees. I mean, seriously, like it's not cool, but it's sure not hot, is it? 80 degrees. I kind of feel like 80 degrees is perfect for anything outdoors. And because at 80 degrees, I mean, if that's your temperature, you can raise the humidity. Yeah, it can feel kind of warm. Or you can lower it and it feels great. But either way, no matter what the humidity does, it swings the temperature, how it feels, but not major. It's not like you're burning up or freezing. So it can do whatever it wants to do. And you can do whatever you want to do when it's 80 degrees outside. So that may wind up being just, I don't know, it might wind up just being perfect weather as far as we're concerned. All right, listen up. Earlier today, we're not going to get all of it. I don't know that it's, earth-shattering enough to listen to all of it, but I have a portion of this for you. We'll come back and do some more later. Jeff Lebby, second-year head football coach, Mississippi State, press conference today. So, every game week on a Monday, they get together. He'll take questions from media and preview the upcoming opponent and all that kind of stuff for the week. It's just a standard thing across the league. And then they do the phone call teleconferences on Wednesdays. So today, Lebby, first game week of the year, meets with media, takes some questions. Here is a portion of that. The first thing that you're going to hear is Jeff Lebby answering a question about offensive linemen and how big of a group they're going to rotate and play.
Get to where, man, we've got 8 guys that can go play winning football for us. So those guys they've worked in a great way. They've done some really good things. We're going to need to be able to go play 8 guys through the season at least to do what we want to do.
Coach, have you become very accustomed to watching 2024 Marshall football? How confident do you feel about what Southern Miss is going to look like on Saturday?
Yeah, I think there's some unknowns. I really do. You think about it from a personnel standpoint, there's some differences. But, again, I expect to see 6, maybe 7 starters for Southern Miss defensively coming from Marshall. So you would think there'd be some carryover. Again, people study themselves nonstop. I think week 1 it's always a little bit up in the air. Offensively, their offensive coordinator and how that situation is set up for them, and not calling it last year. You got to go back a couple of years to be able to watch that tape. So have great familiarity, understand his identity and what he wants to do. But, man, until you get out there and you go see it, there's some unknown.
Coach, obviously starting your second season, but from just a personal standpoint, how different is this for you compared to going into last year, your first year?
Yeah, there's a lot of differences. I think just the understanding of how we're going to do what we're going to do, how we're going to travel, what that looks like, the hotel routine, the pregame meal routine, our clap session, all the routines that go into, man, helping us get done what we're trying to get done on Saturday. All those things are now year 2, and I think that's a great help. That's a great benefit for our entire staff. Obviously, the guys that have returned, so that part has been good.
What's just your thoughts on playing this game against Southern Miss and what maybe it means for the state, and especially since it's on the schedule?
Yeah, again, excited about the opportunity, and I think our people inside our state are excited about it as well, being able to see somebody from an opponent standpoint that's in state as we get ready to go on the road. For our guys, it's about focusing incredibly small and making the most of every single day and understanding we've got one opportunity Saturday morning at 11 and need to go play really, really well.
You've been in that situation, first-year coach, flipped over roster and things like that. I mean, you get the sense that maybe you're going to see like fake punts and trick plays because it's a new era and things like that. I mean, how conscious do you have to be about, you mentioned the unknowns, but just kind of something crazy happening? Yeah, you try not to chase ghosts, but at the end of the day, it's kind of like we talked about, and there's some unknowns out there, and so you're trying to prepare for everything as we get ready for it, not knowing exactly what it's going to look like on the other side of the ball. But again, to me, the way you do that is you make it really, really simple on both sides of the ball so that guys can adjust. They can go play free and fast depending on what you're going to get.
All right, so there's a little bit of the Q&A today with Jeff Lebby. I enjoyed listening to some of that just because, you get a nugget or two of info, what he thinks about Southern Miss and that kind of thing. Now, that last answer, I loved hearing that, and what I hope as a fan on the outside listening to a coach talk, you hope that indeed is reality, and that is just keeping everything simple so guys can fly around and play fast, especially early in the year or you're playing somebody you don't have a ton of tape on and you don't know. You're talking about the unknown of Southern Miss, right? Is simplifying it. Kobe, you asked me on YouTube, you said, what do you think about the depth chart heading into week 1? So let's go over that. I can't start it now. Well, the music's going to hit us in about a minute or so. But when we come back from the next break, I'll do that. I've got it pulled up here. It's in the game notes. I don't think Southern Miss has released one yet, but I'll keep looking to see if we get one. But, yeah, State, in their game notes, they have sort of, the initial de facto depth chart for the different positions. There's a whole bunch of or this, or that, this one or that one. So there's a lot of that, but they're going to rotate a lot. So we'll go over that because I do have some thoughts. And there's a few interesting things on there that I might not have expected. Okay, but Kobe, what I'm saying is he just got through saying it's a little bit of an unknown when you're studying Southern Miss because they did 6 or 7 starters on the defensive side at Marshall are now starters for Southern Miss, or at least went to Southern Miss. But things you don't know are like, what is their injury status coming out of camp? Who's in, who of the returning players stayed and won a job, So in terms of who's going to play, you don't know some of that. Schematically, you don't really know for sure. So what Levy said is one of the best ways to approach it is whoever we're playing in this depth chart, this initial depth chart, let's just make sure that we're not overcomplicated. The last thing you want is, because it's unknown, is we got a whole football team that's trying to think of every little possibility on every little play, and you get a defense that runs out there, for example, like the way State looked to start the 2016 season when Peter Sermon was the defensive coordinator, who they opened, and I've never seen a defense think more and react less. They were stuck. And then they changed it the next year, and you saw Grantham come in, and it was an immediate change in that it was totally simplified down to just nuts and bolts, and guys were just running all over the place 100 miles an hour, and it looked so much better, and they played so much better. So you kind of have to do that. Just simplify it and say, look, we're not going to overthink this. We're not going to try to go around them. We're just going to be simple and try to go through them. And you'll either be man enough to go through them or you won't, but that's how we're going to approach it. So you take the thinking part out of it, and I think that's really smart, especially in this week 1. Depth chart deal for State coming up next. Kobe, thanks for the question. I'm Matt. Beaver's here. Y'all are here. We have a show. Stick around. Back after this.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
The Junction Delis, convenience redefined, and Prince Oil Company, a match made in heaven. The Junction Deli, fueled by Prince Oil Company. Prince Oil Company has been fueling Central Mississippi since 1960. It's a pretty good little while. Wonderful people. Man, am I ever more tickled that they're a part of the show and I'm a part of their team now. As you know, if you listen to the radio show, I've been to the Junction in several different places around the state. I've bought gas just like you at a lot of places that are fueled by Prince Oil Company, and they are really wonderful people. By the way, that brand spanking new Junction Deli, Chevron, right across the highway from Germantown High School. It's in Canton, we say Gluckstadt. Do you realize they and other Junction Delis, they serve country-pleasing sausage over there on the buffet? They don't get much better than that. The Junction and Prince Oil Company. That's what I'm talking about. We'll be right back after this message from C Spire. My name is Matt Wyatt. I host the Matt Wyatt radio show out of my home using C Spire fiber.
And when we hit the road as a family, Matt's show goes with us, thanks to C Spire Wireless.
Its ultra-reliable nationwide network lets me broadcast live from anywhere.
And never miss a moment that matters.
Connecting you to what inspires you most on C Spire's blazing fast 5G network. And right now, get your choice of free phone. That's customer inspired. That's C Spire.
Welcome to my photography studio downtown Tupelo. Everybody needs a headshot. especially if you're in the professional world, in sales, any sort of customer related business, outreach business, anything like that. Everybody needs a headshot. Here at my photography studio in Tupelo, we do a lot more than just headshots, but we're kind of focusing on headshots for that very reason, because everybody needs it. Let me show you a little something about it. One thing I'm able to do here is sort of have 2 to 3 different looks in a small space that we can do in a short amount of time. Several different looks and styles of lighting with studio equipment, studio lighting. Some with flash, and a particular look that I've worked on, a constant lighting scenario where you sit down, the lights are already on, you lean in, and we kind of illuminate the whole face. And we get several options in the studio in a short amount of time. Here's 2 priorities for me when I shoot headshots. One is it has to look like you. Okay, none of this fake stuff. The other goal is it's got to look like you at your best. And that's my job as a photographer. And I've got a lot of experience over the years, and I feel really confident I can do that for you. I would love to schedule a session for you here at the studio in downtown Tupelo. I'm above the Reed's Gift Shop, just off of Troy Street, the corner of Troy and Spring. If you can't get to Tupelo, that's okay. Let's talk about it, because we can pack the studio up and come to you if the schedules fit and that sort of thing. I'd love to help you with your headshots. I think everybody needs them. I'm inviting you to please email me, reach out. You can go to my website, mattwhyattmedia.com, email address matt@mattwhyattmedia.com, and let's talk about your headshot. Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi, local agents in all 82 counties. So here's what that means. You have that fender bender, hopefully you don't, but let's say you do at an odd time. Something goes on. It's Saturday night at 11 p.m. You don't have to wait until Monday morning to call some 800 number and talk to someone 3 states away. You've got your agent's phone number right there on your phone because you go to church with him. Your kids go to school together. He lives right down the road. You see each other at the ball games on Friday.
At thezone1059.com.
All right, here we go. Back with you, rolling along here in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go with the home team. They are your home team. Unnamed texter, who I think is going to go by Tater from Decatur, says it'll be interesting to see scheduling for the SEC and football moving forward. Any thoughts? Yeah, we touched on that. Going into next year, you're going to have 3-game rotation with permanent opponents and then rotate the rest of them. And it will be interesting, but I think there's a lot of water got to go under the bridge. Who knows what they're going to do? I'm just all for seeing more SEC games more often. And you're just going to have more often, better games and better matchups and less of the, when you multiply it, right? So how many? 16 fewer non-conference matchups. Okay, but that's 16 fewer against the lesser schools that, are obscure things that even the TV partners have been putting it online, not even on television. They just kind of been streaming it here the last few years. So as much as anything else, it's a huge deal for the TV partners. I mean, it really is. All right. WRKS 1059 The Zone or thezone1059.com. It's fine. But I don't know what's going on in the live stream. It's kicked us off a couple times. We're back. But anyway, Kobe brought it up, and that is depth chart for Mississippi State comes out. Now, probably should preface the whole thing by saying that depth charts in many ways don't mean a whole lot. It might mean a lot if you have a quarterback position like that who's up for grabs and they've been practicing and you finally know who's going to play most of the time, because you don't really rotate those quarterbacks as much. But, everything else is rotating in and out. However, it is significant. It is the first one, and it is of great interest. It's of great interest to me, too. So let me give you what I see. They said, obviously, Shapen is your starting quarterback, but in terms of backup or depth chart behind Blake Shapen at quarterback, they put on the word "or" between Luke Kromenhoek and Kamario Taylor. So, again, you don't really know who's first off the bench in whatever scenario. If it's a permanent thing and Blake gets hurt, who goes in? If it's a special thing or, a certain play or a certain package, who goes in? You don't know. So, a little bit of an unknown there. And running back. So, Booth, he changed to number 6, by the way. Booth's going to wear number 6. He's the oldest guy in the bunch. And it was really good a year ago. They're glad to have him back. Got that extra year because of the JUCO ruling. So he's back, but you brought in Fluff Bothwell from South Alabama. There's an "or" between their name as well, Booth and Bothwell. And Johnny Daniels is going to play. They're going to rotate them all in and out. We know that. Receiver, your wide spots, one goes to Brennan Thompson, transfer from Oklahoma. He's wearing number 0. The other one's going to go to Jordan Mosley, the senior, redshirt senior, who years ago transferred to state from Northwestern. He's originally a Mobile, Alabama guy. He's wearing number 4. So it's Mosley and Thompson listed at number 1. Now, the depth behind those guys has a lot of "or" in it. So there's not necessarily a second and third and fourth guy. But Marcus Allen, who transferred in, who's bigger, and he's actually looked good preseason. Jerron Glover transferred in. You got Aiden Williams in there, listed as a backup at one out, but he's going to play a bunch. And it's interesting, the starters in the wideout group are the smallest guys. Brennan Thompson's listed at 5'9", and that's about right. And Mosley's listed at 6 feet. Everybody else is 6'2", 6'3", for whatever that's worth. Now, your slot receiver, they list Anthony Evans as starter, the kid from Georgia. His backup is Ricky Johnson, redshirt freshman who's come along good. Tight ends is pretty much the same as it has been. Seydou Traore will be your starter. He's wearing number 8 this year. His backup is Cam Ball, who's the tallest in the bunch, 6'7", 250. Okay, and then the offensive line. Kobe, this is what jumped out at me. They list Albert Reese, who's by far your most experienced offensive lineman, especially in terms of starts at state. He started like 16 games or something at state. They list him the starter at left tackle. And although in the preseason, like Albert spent a lot of time roaming around, playing different positions and stuff, and Jimothy Lewis as his backup. So you got Reese at tackle, Lewis as the backup at left tackle. And we'll get to it a little later in the show, the rest of the Jeff Lebby press conference, but Robbie asked him about that, and he said, yeah, we like that setup, but those guys are going to rotate a bunch too. Left guard is Jacoby Jackson. He was a starter at guard. His backup is Luke Work. Your starting center is Cannon Boone. They list him as an "or" with Brennan Smith, who transferred in there. Also at the center depth chart is Kobe Keenum. He's a young guy from Florence, Alabama, who went to Kentucky and then transferred back to state. Now, see, here's the first time I've run into this, and I hate this, but there's a guy at starter at right guard that I don't know that much about. I don't know that much about him. Zach Owens, who I'm pretty sure is a transfer, 6'6", 340, redshirt sophomore, Zach Owens. Anybody know where Zach's from? Let me look it up. He's wearing number 52. Transferred from Colorado. Okay, so he's the kid from Colorado. They list him as the starter at right guard, or Mayberry, the grad senior who transferred in from Stanford. Big old guy. And right tackle is Blake Steen is your starter. He's the one who transferred from Virginia, 6'6", 340. and they list his backup as Shumpert Perkins, Jakeem Shumpert Perkins. So a whole bunch of new. I was just a little surprised to see Reese as your starter at left tackle in the depth chart, but that's what they're going to go with. Now, when you get over to the defensive side, that's when you see a bunch of "or" beside people's names. Like, you know, one of your linebacker spots, outside guys, they listed as the jack linebacker. It's Jennings or Sila, the guy who transferred from Texas A&M. Mike Middle, they list Nick Mitchell, redshirt senior, been around for a long time, as your starter. His backup, Jalen Smith, the guy who transferred in from Tennessee, and he'll play a lot, I guarantee you. Dime position, Zachary Tillman or Gillette. Lockhart's in there as well. In the defensive front, you know, you got three-man front, so it's nose and tackle end. It's not four of them. It's nose and tackle end. But Bingley Jones, who's healthy again, starter at 1D tackle, and then backups DJ Reed and Shepard. At nose, they list Jeray Bledsoe, the transfer from Texas, as the starter. His backups is an or. Dinkins or Burrows, the transfer from Miami. At end, though, they list Deontay Anderson or Will Whitson. Deontay Anderson's been around. Whitson transferred in from Coastal Carolina. And he's looked really good. He's a big guy, too. 6'5", 295, can really move. Now, probably the thing that surprised you the most is that, at least in terms of how it's listed, the Sam position, which traditionally is a linebacker, right? A strong side type of linebacker. Sam linebacker. Isaac Smith is listed as your starter at Sam linebacker. So you say linebacker, this is nickel dime defense because everybody's running 4 and 5 wides. Everybody's running RPOs. And I told you, like, if you stand next to Isaac Smith, you're like, surely that's a linebacker because he's 220 pounds. We think of him as a safety. I have thought of him as a safety. But he's going to be in the box more according to that depth chart. Safeties are officially listed as one starting or one position is Lanier or Jerron Manning. And the other side is Washington or Jerron Manning. What you know is Jerron Manning, who transferred in from Old Dominion, is going to play a ton of snaps at one safety or the other. The others are going to rotate in. So it's kind of like Lanier, Manning, Washington, or vice versa. But at Sam, it's Isaac Smith. I found that really interesting. Who did they list as the starting punter? Yep. Okay, so, well, it's an or. I wondered about that because the practice I'd been to, they both really boomed the ball. Pulliam is a left-footed guy, and then Trice is the freshman. They go Pulliam or Trice on the punter deal there. And, of course, Kyle Ferry is your kicker. The returners, Brennan Thompson's going to return punts. Evans, the backup. And Booth, kick returner with either Brennan Thompson or Anthony Evans. So those are your three punt, kick, return guys. Thompson, Booth, Evans. All right, hour 1 in the books. Hour 2 coming up. Back after this.
After these messages, we'll be right back. Yeah. After these messages, we'll be right back.
Well, look at what we have here. Christmas come early. Boom. Little green onion country pleasing. That's not all. Little original smoked sausage flavor. That's not all. Jalapeno and cheddar. It has to be one of my favorite, just judging by how much of that stuff I eat. Oh, can't forget. Andouille. Don't be saying andouille. It's andouille. And last, but not least, pork and pineapple, bun size, 3 links bun size. Look at that right there. Be careful. Come on with it. It's mine. Come here, jalapeno. Oh, that's all mine. Country pleasing sausage.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Welcome to my photography studio downtown Tupelo. Everybody needs a headshot, especially if you're in the professional world, in sales, any sort of customer related business, outreach business, anything like that. Everybody needs a headshot. Here at my photography studio in Tupelo, we do a lot more than just headshots, but we're kind of focusing on headshots for that very reason, because everybody needs it. Let me show you a little something about it. One thing I'm able to do here is sort of have 2 to 3 different looks in a small space that we can do in a short amount of time. Several different looks and styles of lighting with studio equipment, studio lighting. Some with flash, and a particular look that I've worked on, a constant lighting scenario where you sit down, the lights are already on, you lean in, and we kind of illuminate the whole face. And we get several options in the studio in a short amount of time. Here's 2 priorities for me when I shoot headshots. One is it has to look like you. Okay, none of this fake stuff. The other goal is it's got to look like you at your best. And that's my job as a photographer. And I've got a lot of experience over the years, and I feel really confident I can do that for you. I would love to schedule a session for you here at the studio in downtown Tupelo. I'm above the Reed's Gift Shop, just off of Troy Street, the corner of Troy and Spring. If you can't get to Tupelo, that's okay. Let's talk about it, because we can pack the studio up and come to you if the schedules fit and that sort of thing. I'd love to help you with your headshots. I think everybody needs them. I'm inviting you to please email me, reach out. You can go to my website, mattwhyattmedia.com, email address matt@mattwhyattmedia.com, and let's talk about your headshot.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi, local agents in all 82 counties. So here's what that means. You have that fender bender, hopefully you don't, but let's say you do at an odd time. Something goes on. It's Saturday night at 11 p.m. You don't have to wait until Monday morning to call some 800 number and talk to someone 3 states away. You've got your agent's phone number right there on your phone because you go to church with him. Your kids go to school together. He lives right down the road. You see each other at the ball games on Friday nights. So it's personal with your local Farm Bureau insurance agent in all 82 counties in this entire state. And if anything does arise and you need to, run it up the chain or up the flagpole, the home offices for Farm Bureau Insurance are in Jackson, Mississippi. It's right here in the state of Mississippi. It doesn't get more local than and personal, the service that you get with Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi. I can't recommend them highly enough. And if you haven't, recently, let them give you a quote. Home, life, auto. It's Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team.
He can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRANGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Get 5 quarts of Syntec Full Synthetic and a MicroGuard Select Oil Filter for just $32.99 at O'Reilly.
I'm Eddie Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I'm Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to eat. Country pleasing, jalapeno and cheddar, green onion. And no, it's not a grill, see that? But the fire is just about burnt down enough where it's time to put some of this on there. And the only decision when it comes to country pleasing sausage is which flavor, jalapeno and cheddar or maybe green onion. Both.
Break me off a piece of that.
Look at that, what that is.
That's real green onion, like that monkey who set his tail on a railroad track. It won't be long now.
Worldwide.
Now, here we go.
At thezone1059.com.
All right, here we go. Hour number 2. Off and running with you. I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go! With the home team. I'm here. Beaver is here. Y'all are here. We got the whole gang. So get on in. You can be a part of the show in lots of different ways. Glad to be on with you today. I got plenty of hot coffee in the thermos for another hour of radio. Hot coffee from High Point Roasters in New Albany, Mississippi. We got game notes because it's game week. We got press conferences and Q&A. That happened. That means we got a depth chart. Except we don't have one at Southern Miss. My friend Caleb just sent me a link here or a thing where I could see because I had asked about it earlier. I didn't know if they were putting the game notes out or not with depth chart. But Southern Miss, I think their notes are out, but it says they will not release an offensive depth chart until game 2. And same thing for defense and special teams. So basically like the page that said you've got the pronunciation guide on the players' names, but at Southern Miss, no depth chart. Offensively, defensively, now it says we're not putting one out until game 2. So I'm not going to get one, at least coming into this game. And whether or not that is or isn't an advantage for Southern Miss in any way, I mean, you can debate that. But if you consider that in some way it might be just the most tiny inkling of an advantage to not know who's playing what position, and then any advantage you can get it, I reckon. Staying connected to you because of C Spire, the #1 network in Mississippi is C Spire, customer inspired. Check them out at cspire.com. Hey to you on the live stream. Everybody on YouTube and Facebook, X, formerly Twitter, type a comment, post it. I see it right here all in one nice, neat column on this computer screen. And then I can click it, and it pops up on the screen. Like Anthony Evans, return specialist, slot receiver, transferred from Georgia. He's at Mississippi State. Blind Squirrel threw him a compliment. He said, Anthony Evans has potential to be an explosive return man. Wish he was still in Athens. And then, rightfully so, see, I told you, intelligent people have a really strong sense of self-awareness because Blind Squirrel Sports says, but I shouldn't be, quote, crying from the yacht. He said, so I'll move on. Attaboy. You can also text me on the Country Pleasing text line. The number to text is 885-3776. Again, the text line number, 885-3776. That's the Country Pleasing text line. Country Pleasing sausage on grocery store shelves all around the Southeast. All those flavors are great. I haven't had black pepper and cheddar in a while. I love that one. I got to get a hold of some of that. And you can give me a call on the all-new Junction phone line. Look out! Back up, Terry. The Junction Delis, a.k.a. Convenience Redefined. Fueled by Prince Oil Company here in Mississippi. He's been fueling Central Mississippi since 1960. Fuel for your vehicle, fuel for your stomach. Give me a call on the Junction phone line. The number to call, 897-1059. 601 number, 897-1059. Speaking of, the Junction phone. I got More Bully on line 1. What's up, More Bully? Happy Monday.
What's up, Matt? It's me. It's the MWRE.
Well, look, I'm just glad you're here. I hope you're feeling better.
I am feeling fantastic. Thank you.
Good.
Boy, that was a rough time, man.
It sounded like it.
I have not been that sick, and I don't know how long.
I'll tell you.
When I tell you I was not holding down water, I was not holding down water.
Okay.
And
all right.
if you want some real details, I needed a cork in both hands.
Come on, man. All right. But I'm glad you're feeling better.
I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. Not that I have any.
Okay.
How about that?
Attaboy.
Hey, is C-Dog working down there at USM?
C-Dog as in?
C-Dog, man. I gave him that name. Caleb.
I don't think he's at USM.
Okay.
I know I'm going to see him, hopefully see him Friday night. I'm going to try to swing through the West Jones and Laurel football game. I think he'll be calling that one.
All right. Well, look, here's what happened. Me and him, some years ago, filled in for Hubie while he was on vacation, when Hubie was doing his show. And we did it all week. And it just came out of the blue. I said, what you think about that, C-Dog? And that's just what I call him ever since then.
And it stuck with
So
him.
when you see him, you say, what's up, C-Dog?
All right. We'll do.
He'll know who sent
He
you.
might be listening.
He'll know.
He might be listening.
Yeah. Hey, what do you think about the game, man? Is it going to be close or what?
More bully, I expect a competitive game. You know, so when you say close, you know, to what degree? I'm not going to. It's not realistic enough to have seen nobody play. You're going into the first week and me to stand here and go,
I know.
I got State by 3.5. That's not realistic. But I do expect a competitive game. Now, let me say this. So for me, more bully, I'm one of these who, when I do a prediction, I always have to then consider, what if I'm majorly wrong? Okay, so let me say this. If I'm wrong and State really whips them, then I'm going to come away like with really impressed with State's coaching staff, because they're all new. Like, it's a whole new football team outside of a couple of positions. And like one of the major ones, Shapen, you didn't even have him last year because he was hurt. So it's all new stuff. I'm going to point that out in a minute.
Do you know what?
And then on the other side, if Southern Miss wins the game, I'm going to come away really patting their coaching staff on the back, because they got 20-something guys who transferred from Marshall who've never even seen Hattiesburg outside of playing there as a visitor. You know, 6 or 7 of them are going to be starters on defense. The quarterback's on his third school. You know, it's mixing and matching all this stuff. It's like, whoever wins this game, and I do think it'll be competitive, whoever wins it, I'm going to come away going, okay, that coaching staff is the one that did the best job of gluing all these guys together during the off-season and preseason.
Well, Matt, you said something interesting. You said it's a whole new team, talking about State.
Yeah.
But can't you say that about almost every team in the nation?
Well,
with this era we live in?
Yeah, absolutely you can. You know,
ridiculous.
in varying degrees. Well, it is. And that's why I saw that little meme and I shared it on some of the social media stuff that I have today that said, it was just a picture, okay, but all it said was, welcome to college football 2025. For fans 45 and over planning to attend games, remember these 2 essential items. Number 1, binoculars. Number 2, a roster. And it's true. No matter who you go watch, you're going to need a roster because you're not going to know half of them.
No, that's right. I hate it. I hate it. But anyway, it's football season, so that's a positive, and it's Labor Day weekend. I got me a new grill.
Oh, I don't know.
Burning some meat this weekend, man.
Well, hey, I said this in hour 1. I looked at the temperature like today and tomorrow, and I don't care what's happening. Tonight, I'm building a fire outside. They can make fun of me and say, Matt, you're getting the cart before the horse and it's not cool enough yet. Bull, I'm building a fire tonight, period.
That man said bull. All right. Well, look, have a good week, my friend.
All right, you too. More bull.
Mine started off a lot better than it did last week.
No corks needed. Attaboy. Appreciate the phone call. This man got on the radio and said out loud he needed a cork on both ends. My goodness. Hey, Will, yes. Will says, Matt, well, you're gonna have sausage on the fire. See, what I'm going to do is heat up some buns, and I'm going to take that pork and pineapple country pleasing. It's 3 of them in a package that are this bun size. They're for a sausage dog, and I'm probably just going to cook the whole package. Okay, Ronnie on X wants a prediction of who's going to score first on State's offense. I'm going to predict that the first State player to score a touchdown will be, going out on a big limb here, Devon Booth, the running back. I'll go with him. That's what, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Okay, wait a minute. Time out. I'm coming to your text, but let me just give you this little nugget real quick. And then text and then headlines. So talking about a whole new team, listen to this. The player on Mississippi State's football team with the most career starts at State. I tell you what, let's do it this way. Instead of me giving you the answer, give me your best guess and don't look it up. The player on Mississippi State's team with the most career starts at State. Who do you got? Type in the name and I'll get to those. On YouTube, X, Facebook, type it in there. Send it to me on the Country Pleasing text line. Who do you think it is? I'll give you the answer in just a second. Jason in Flagstaff texted and he said, I agree with you about those that 80-degree thing, with one exception. Early spring back home, usually right before a tornado, making a storm system that comes through and the air is literally soup. I mean, I know it is. Hog Jowl text says, man, I really think it's difficult for pundits, experts, especially fans, to know what kind of year their team will have. So many transfers with most teams makes it a guessing game at best. Signed, go Hogs. That's what, 100% agree. I think it's harder to really know and predict than it ever has been. All right, Kenny. Yeah, you're probably right. Kenny, don't call me Ken, texted the show and said, let's never mention Peter Sermon again, please. Look, good guy, good coach. He's had a good career. But that 1 year, you talking about not a fit. Resdog texted and said, Matt, if the game Saturday is competitive, then Levy should take 2 weeks off and quit. Resdog, my man. My man. See, Resdog, some people would say you're negative and you wouldn't be fun to hang out with. I think it's right the opposite. I think you would bring us all back down to earth from time to time. Bill, you're right. The whole needing a cork on both ends. He said, that boy ain't right. You're right. The boy ain't right. Okay, here are the guesses. I said the player on State's team with the most career starts at State. J-Rock on the Country Pleasing text line said Isaac Smith. So did JS290 on YouTube. No, it's not Isaac Smith. Mr. Harmon on YouTube said Jordan Mosley. Nope, it's not Jordan Mosley. Jared on Facebook and Denzel, White Denzel on the text line, both said Albert Reese. You're really close, but no, it's not Albert Reese. Here's the answer. The player on Mississippi State's football team this year with the most career starts at Mississippi State is safety Hunter Washington with 16. Second is Albert Reese with 13 career starts at State. We're talking about a whole new football team. Let this sink in. The third most career starts at State by any player currently on the team is tied between Nick Mitchell and Seydou Traore with 12 apiece. Last year was Seydou's first year there. So in terms of new team, starts at State, I mean, listen to me. Once you get down to Seydou Traore, pretty much everybody on the list are guys that have been there 1 year, were there last year. Now, here's another one for you. Okay, so let's just take out the qualifier that it has to be starts at Mississippi State. And instead, It will just be starts in games in college that you played in, games you played in college that you started. The active starts streak, that would be the most consecutive starts for a player in the games that he's played in. That's Blake Shapen. He's at 25. Next, behind Blake Shapen, is Dwight Lewis, your third-string cornerback. Third on the team, the most consecutive starts. Blake Steen, offensive tackle. That's the third most with 17 consecutive starts. This is to be his first game at Mississippi State. Fourth on the team, Will Whitson, Coastal Carolina. He's about to play his first game at Mississippi State. All four of the players in the top four of the most consecutive starts in games in their career, all four are from somewhere else. Only Blake Shapen at the top has played a few games for you. He got hurt last year. 2, 3, and 4, they're going to play their first game in a maroon and white uniform. So when we talk about experience and new team and familiarity and all that, listen, to more Bully's point, yeah, and Hogjowl, all around the country, there are things like this out there. Okay, but even in this era, it's still a pretty rare situation that State finds itself in going into this first ball game. I mean, you literally have on a team of 100 and something players, right? You have 9 football players, 9 football players who have started double-digit games in their career at Mississippi State. That's it, 9. And when I say double-digit, that's got like Brylan Lanier has started 10 games in his time at State. Well, most of that was last year. Jacoby Jackson has started 10 games at State. That was all last year. The year before last, he was at Texas Tech. So to say that it's new, now, and I know, again, it's not incredibly unusual because so many teams in the country, they have new rosters. Everybody's transferring because everybody wants what they don't have, that phenomena. And so everybody, coaches and alums and GMs at programs, are willing to pay more for what they don't have than to pay for what they do have. Everybody wants what they don't have. So everybody transfers, players cash in, and you got all these new rosters. And it's downright incredible to me. But again, can they play? Yeah, there's some older guys. It's just for State, this is kind of like a new team. You know, Shapen's back. He's healthy. You hope, for Pete's sake, you hope he's healthy the whole year. The guy who started the most games in a Mississippi State uniform on this team, Hunter Washington, the safety. Outside of Blake Shapen, the guy who, the players who have started the most consecutive games in their careers as football players, Dwight Lewis, corner, Blake Steen, tackle, Will Whitson, end, they were all somewhere else last year. Only one of those three was playing FBS football. That's Steen at Virginia. Unnamed texter says, nope, I'm wrong. This is Chris from Louisville. He says, during the Ireland game, commentators brought up the coach, quote unquote, hot seat. He said, Freeze is one of them, according to them. And who else would you have on there from the SEC? Yeah, I don't really know. I'm not sure about the other, the other situations. I don't know. What about the cat at Oklahoma? All right, let me ask you this. Let me get back up here to this. I was looking over some of the stats and notes in the game notes about State's starters going into this weekend. And one of those is Brennan Thompson, the receiver who transferred to State from Oklahoma. Brennan is a senior. I've never met them, but I'm told that he's married, he's an older guy, married, mature. I've talked to him, though, really bright. It's like having instead of a 20-year-old college kid, it's like talking to somebody who's much older and more mature when you talk to Brennan. I'm really impressed with him. Little bitty guy, 5'9", 170 pounds, okay. Fastest player on the football team. Lightning fast. Signed with Texas out of high school, goes to Oklahoma. Started in 10 of 11 games last year for Oklahoma. Okay, so played a lot of football for Oklahoma last year. Started. Now, you're a starter on an Oklahoma offense. Start 10 of 11 games. Caught 19 passes. Now, explain that to me. How can any receiver, let alone one that can run like that, start 10 football games last year for that Oklahoma offense and only catch 19 passes, 230 yards and 2 touchdowns? No wonder he transferred out of there. It's like, if I want to get the ball thrown to me, I got to go somewhere, I guess. So I was just thinking about Oklahoma. I don't know, maybe their situation is one they could bottom out and find themselves needing a new coach. Yeah, and the freeze thing at Auburn, I mean, you talk about hard to predict. It's incredibly hard to predict what the Auburn fan base is going to want. You talk about mood swings. Back after this.
After these messages, we'll be right back. Yeah. After these messages, we'll be right back.
Well, look at what we have here. Christmas come early. Boom. Little green onion country pleasing. That's not all. Little original smoked sausage flavor. That's not all. Jalapeno and cheddar. It has to be one of my favorite, just judging by how much of that stuff I eat. Oh, can't forget. Andouille. Don't be saying andouille, it's andouille. And last, but not least, pork and pineapple, bun size, 3 links bun size. Look at that right there. Be careful. Come on with it. It's mine. Come here, jalapeno. Oh, that's all mine. Country pleasing sausage.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Welcome to my photography studio downtown Tupelo. Everybody needs a headshot, especially if you're in the professional world, in sales, any sort of customer related business, outreach business, anything like that. Everybody needs a headshot. Here at my photography studio in Tupelo, we do a lot more than just headshots, but we're kind of focusing on headshots for that very reason, because everybody needs it. Let me show you a little something about it. One thing I'm able to do here is sort of have 2 to 3 different looks in a small space that we can do in a short amount of time. Several different looks and styles of lighting with studio equipment, studio lighting. Some with flash and a particular look that I've worked on, a constant lighting scenario where you sit down, the lights are already on, you lean in, and we kind of illuminate the whole face. And we get several options in the studio in a short amount of time. Here's 2 priorities for me when I shoot headshots. One is it has to look like you. Okay, none of this fake stuff. The other goal is It's got to look like you at your best. And that's my job as a photographer. And I've got a lot of experience over the years, and I feel really confident I can do that for you. I would love to schedule a session for you here at the studio in downtown Tupelo. I'm above the Reed's Gift Shop, just off of Troy Street, the corner of Troy and Spring. If you can't get to Tupelo, that's okay. Let's talk about it, because we can pack the studio up and come to you if the schedules fit and that sort of thing. I'd love to help you with your headshots. I think everybody needs them. I'm inviting you to please email me, reach out. You can go to my website, mattwyattmedia.com, email address matt@mattwyattmedia.com, and let's talk about your headshot.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi, local agents in all 82 counties. So here's what that means. You have that fender bender, hopefully you don't, but let's say you do at an odd time. Something goes on. It's Saturday night at 11 p.m. You don't have to wait until Monday morning to call some 800 number and talk to someone 3 states away. You've got your agent's phone number right there on your phone because you go to church with him. Your kids go to school together. He lives right down the road. You see each other at the ball games on Friday nights. So it's personal with your local Farm Bureau insurance agent in all. All right, back with you. I'm Matt in the Bureau, Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go with the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau Insurance. Sven said hot seats in the SEC. Number 1, Hugh Freeze. Anything less than 8 wins, he's fired. He said number 2, Venables at Oklahoma is what we're talking about. He said same thing, minimum 8. Number 3, Stoops, Kentucky. 4, Brian Kelly. No playoffs. He's in real trouble. Sven said then number 5, Sam Pittman and Billy Napier. In terms of hot seat. I made the comment about Auburn. I said, hey, it's hard to tell. It's mood swings, year to year. Now, Robbie, who's an Auburn fan, he said, no, it's not hard. He said, we expect to compete for a national championship every year, period. And that's Robbie, an Auburn fan perspective. And really, okay, you get down to, there's nothing wrong with that. Saying, we expect to compete for a national championship every year. And when you go, well, what do you define, compete for a national championship? Is that being in the championship game? Is it something different? You could, if you wanted to argue it, you could argue from the SEC perspective of, look, if you get to the SEC title game, you're in the hunt for the national championship, period, the end. We realize that. If you're there knocking on the door, you go down the last week and you get to the Iron Bowl and it's, winner's in, you go, if you're in the running, you're legit chasing down an SEC championship game appearance, you're in the hunt for a national championship. So you could almost bring it back to that. Well, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that if you're at Auburn. The deal is, though, on the other side of that coin, Robbie, I could say, okay, your words, we expect to compete for a national championship every year, period. All right? Who's doing that? Which ones are doing that? I mean, if I ask you or y'all, if I ask us that question, who are the programs that really legitimately are for the last 4 years, the last 5, the last 8, the last 10 years? Let's don't go further than any further than a decade, because even 10 years ago is different than it is now. But let's just say, who are the ones that, boom, are competing for a national championship every year, period? Alabama. Who else? Ohio State and Georgia. I mean, what? Michigan and Texas now. Okay, we're up to, what, 5? Who else? Chip, I don't know if you're joking or not, but Chip on Facebook said Ole Miss. Okay. No. Maybe Clemson, all right? Clemson 6. The team, so,
again, Robbie said there's nothing wrong, like from an Auburn perspective, with Robbie saying at Auburn we expect, this is his words, expect to compete for a national championship every year, period. Okay? But who's actually doing it? Truth is, that's right. Like Hunter said, people say Clemson, Notre Dame, Oregon. I mean, we might throw Clemson in there, yeah. Notre Dame, Oregon, maybe, but it's not an every year thing. Listen, say it like this. Even at Oregon, even at Michigan, it's not an every year thing. Who are the ones that are competing for a national championship every year, period? Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia. Who else did we say? Same ones. That's just the reality of it. Bama fan texted the show. He said, Matt, I'm not a State fan, but I'm going to predict the score. State 34, Southern Miss 17. Look at there. All right. On that note, Bama fan, let's listen in just a little bit more from Jeff Levy today. Head coach, Bulldogs, previewing Southern Miss, taking questions from media. We had about maybe 3 minutes of it earlier. I'll pick it up where we left off. Here we go.
Have to be about, you mentioned the unknowns, but just kind of something crazy happened.
Yeah, you try not to chase ghosts, but at the end of the day, it's kind of like we talked about, and there's some unknowns out there, and so you're trying to prepare for everything as we get ready for it, not knowing exactly what it's going to look like on the other side of the ball. But again, to me, the way you do that is you make it really, really simple on both sides of the ball so that guys can adjust, they can go play free and fast depending on what you're going to get.
Coach, you've talked a lot about the talent you've added in the receiver room as well as at running back. As a play caller, is that daunting? Is that fun trying to drop a call sheet for Saturday?
Absolutely it is. Making sure that the ball is getting in the right guy's hands. To me, that's my job offensively is to make sure that the right people are touching the football. So we've got the opportunity to spread it to a number of different guys. We've got to get those guys involved early and often, and that's probably the funnest part.
How's just the team doing health and injury-wise going into week one?
Knock on wood, man, we're in a pretty good spot right now. As we've come out of camp and gotten a couple of guys back as of this morning, that's been really good for us. We need to have a great week of work as these guys have gotten back, but we're in a pretty good spot.
Coach, we've talked a lot about your running back room and the depth in there. When you get into game mode and game day, is it more of going with the hot hand or keeping the same rotation to keep those guys fresh?
Yeah, it's a mix. I think it goes back to making sure the right guys are touching the football. And as you get into the flow of a game, there is at times a guy that's got a really hot hand and you ride that guy at the end of it. You also want to have the ability to make sure that not one guy is getting too loaded down with carries. And so having the ability to split those will be huge for us. We need to be able to play with fresh, fast bodies. We've got depth at that position, which I think is really, really good.
Coach, we've heard from a lot of players all preseason about how much they love Isaac, how much he helps the locker room. How much is it to have a guy like that going into your second year that you can depend on for leadership and knows what to tell the guys?
Yeah, again, I talked about it at the beginning of fall camp, talked about it at media days. For him, that's a guy that loves Mississippi State. He loves playing football. He plays the game the way it's supposed to be played, and those are huge for us. We need that, and we need it in a bad way, and he'll continue to provide great leadership on that side of the football as we move forward.
As a former offensive lineman, I'm sure you're very involved with the conversations with Coach Lodeholt, but what has he brought, in the short time that he's been here, not just from a recruiting standpoint, but maybe a development standpoint?
Yeah, I think how he coaches those guys every single day, the detail, but the toughness and the edge and the physicality and getting guys to go play the position the way he played it and the way it needs to be played to give us a chance to go win has been really fun to see. Again, there's been this great amount of familiarity with me and him, so I knew exactly what I was getting, and he knew exactly what he was getting, and I think it's been great for us to be back together.
Coach, you've talked a lot about this offseason, the
excitement you have for the defensive line now that it's game week. Just how excited are you how excited are you to see them finally work in a live game action?
Yeah, those guys, again, we've gotten a bunch of guys back over the last, 4 to 5 days in that room. Got to ask the question just a minute ago, how healthy are we? We're healthy in that room right now, and that's exciting. And I think we've got the ability to roll guys. Going to continue to talk about fresh and fast bodies. We need that in a big way, and that'll be a big part of Saturday morning, but excited to see those guys be able to go cut it loose.
All right, so there's some more of the press conference today. And, the best news there for a State fan is your coach saying, look, knock on some wood, but we're really, healthy right now. Defensive line group is as healthy as they've been for a little while. We're looking at that depth chart. And that's one thing a minute ago when Kobe asked that question, I was kind of going over depth chart stuff, and I had to hurry before the break over there on the defensive side. In the 3-3-5, the nickel and dime stuff that everybody's doing defensively. This is not a 4-man front. Sometimes it'll look that way when people walk down, but it's technically 3-man front. So if you go to your defensive line room, everybody in there, is going to have either NT for nose tackle, DT for defensive tackle, or DE for defensive end beside their name. It's just one of those three. And like in the scrimmage, it was just, you'd have these shades of what it was like a year ago for State. It was so painful to have to sit there and watch that defense play. And they were, it was true freshmen. You're running out there. You had nobody to rotate. Everybody's hurt. The ones you do have are not ready to play. They're just too young. And you're in the SEC of all places. And then you go watch a scrimmage this year, and it's just they're rotating guys one after the other, after the other, after the other. And this one is, 6'4", 330 pounds, and that one is 6'4", 315. And there's an end over there that's 6'5", 295, and he's 24 years old. And it's just like, so whether or not they're any good, we'll see. Whether or not they can tackle and, rush a quarterback, we'll see. But this I do know. This is without one shadow of a doubt something I can say with 100% certainty. The guys on the field playing on a defensive line for State this year will not be nearly as worn out and tired at the end of the game as the defensive line guys were last year because you didn't have enough. So whatever that's worth, and we're going to see what it's worth soon enough. A little bit of time left with you here on this Monday in the Bureau. Staying connected because of C Spire, the #1 network in Mississippi. C Spire, customer inspired. Back after this.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Hey y'all, Matt Wyatt here. Each week on the Mississippi Outdoors Podcast, we talk with the people who live it. Hunters, biologists, game wardens, local celebrities, and storytellers that know Mississippi better than anyone.
Those bass come up there and attack them. You know how mean bass can be there.
You're never going to believe this. Matt Wyatt just talked about your deer on the radio. I said, what did he say? He said, it was Photoshopped. And I said, what?
They don't know anything about hunting. They just have never had that right, that freedom.
Dude, that's us, man. That's what we do. So tune in, be inspired, and we'll see you outdoors.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Yeah. Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi. Local agents in all 82 counties. So here's what that means. You have that fender bender, hopefully you don't, but let's say you do at an odd time. Something goes on. It's Saturday night at 11 p.m. You don't have to wait until Monday morning to call some 800 number and talk to someone 3 states away. You've got your agent's phone number right there on your phone because you go to church with him. Your kids go to school together. He lives right down the road. You see each other at the ball games on Friday nights. So it's personal with your local Farm Bureau insurance agent in all 82 counties in this entire state. And if anything does arise and you need to, run it up the chain or up the flagpole, The home offices for Farm Bureau Insurance are in Jackson, Mississippi. It's right here in the state of Mississippi. It doesn't get more local than and personal, the service that you get with Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi. I can't recommend them highly enough. And if you haven't, recently, let them give you a quote. Home, life, auto. It's Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Well, look at what we have here. Christmas come early. Boom. Little green onion country pleasing. That's not all. Little original smoked sausage flavor. That's not all. Jalapeno and cheddar. It has to be one of my favorite, just judging by how much of that stuff I eat. Oh, can't forget. Andouille. Don't be saying andouille, it's andouille. And last, but not least, pork and pineapple. Bun size, 3 links bun size. Look at that right there. Be careful. Come on with it. It's mine. Come here, jalapeno. Oh, that's all mine. Country pleasing sausage. The Junction Deli's, convenience redefined, and Prince Oil Company, a match made in heaven. The Junction Deli, fueled by Prince Oil Company. Prince Oil Company has been fueling Central Mississippi since 1960. It's a pretty good little while. Wonderful people. Man, am I ever more tickled that they're a part of
Matt Wyatt Show, ready to talk sports the Mississippi way with you. So get in on the conversation and tell him what you think right now on the Zone 105.9 and worldwide at thezone1059.com.
All right, back with you. I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go with the home team. They are your home team. All right, over to the phone. Here we go. Watch out. Step back. Train coming through. All right, over to the Junction phone line, fueled by Prince Oil Company. It is Wayne on line 1. What's up, Wayne?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Just right. How are you?
All right. Well, you know what, Southern, they coming on this weekend.
Okay. Wait a minute. Are you talking about the Southern Miss and Mississippi State game on TV?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Whenever that is.
Yeah, it's an 11 a.m. game, and the TV partner is ESPN.
That's going to be a hot sum to.
Well, and I was looking at it, Wayne. They're saying it's going to be potentially really mild. Like the temperatures during the week are mild. I looked it up a little bit ago. Let me just tell you what it says. Hang on. I looked up Hattiesburg. Like it's hot down there today, but it's saying that Saturday in Hattiesburg, there's a 39% chance of showers during the day, high of 85. That night, it's going to get down to 69. So it's not cool, but it's not going to be. What?
Yes, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say it's not going to be nearly as hot as it, usually is on August the 30th.
Well, that AstroTurf going to make it bad, though.
Yeah, well, that's true. It is hotter on that turf. But again, it ain't going to be 95 degrees. And it very well could be.
Yeah, I know it. Yeah, I'm on the way back up here to Pittsburgh. I put a little money on them over at Ameristar, and I got a question about the bid. I don't use the bid. That's the only first time I ever done that. But,
okay.
Well, all right, brother.
Hey, wait a minute. Time out. Hold on, Wayne. Are you saying you just went and bet money on Southern Miss?
Yeah, I did, but I'm going back I'm just going back again to make sure what I done.
Okay. All right.
Just to get out of the house.
Okay. Well, look, be careful going.
All right, brother.
All right.
All right, brother. I'm almost there.
All right. Be careful.
All right, y'all take care now.
You too, Wayne. Thank you. I don't know how to take that. Is Wayne saying that he does not remember what his bet was on Southern Miss, that they would win or score, or I think he's saying that he doesn't remember. Okay, let me throw this at you. I'm not trying to make some case of how you ought to lower your expectations of State going in this game. That's not what I'm doing. It's just that today is Monday of game week. As you heard, press conference for the coach. That means the game notes come out, all right? And the media people, the media relations folks, these programs, they put the game notes together. It's really interesting. I like to read through those because for me, I'm going to go broadcast the game. It's not like I'm going to memorize it or even really just, page per page and everything. But as I read through it, there are things that stick with me that help me contextually when we go call the game. And like I said earlier, I look at a depth chart. Depth chart kind of is a thing that most of it is like, so what? They're all going to play and rotate and all that kind of stuff. Let's just see who's in there. But the career starts thing, I was mentioning a new team at State. And when you realize the guy on the whole football team who has started more games in a Mississippi State uniform is Hunter Washington at safety. Active streaks, meaning the most consecutive games starting. Well, that's Blake Shapen with 25. He was hurt all last year. And then the second, third, and fourth most are all guys who have never played a game in a State uniform. So when we say new team and the job of gluing all this together into something that can go actually win a football game, they are doing a good job of trying to get this program back on four legs. But man, I still think there's ways to go. We're going to see what it looks like when they roll it out there for the first time in Hattiesburg. So then I scroll down in the game notes, and there's this really neat, it's not a chart or a graph, but it's just a really neat sectioned thing for starting players that you can kind of see where they are, and it will track them throughout the year and add to it each week in the game notes. Well, right now, here's Shapen. Of course, he's like the quarterback. He doesn't have any completions and attempts in place, but you have these notes out beside it. So when I look at this for the receivers, the four receivers that they put in this thing, so we can read information about them, track them throughout the year, are the four starters, effectively. Brennan Thompson and Jordan Mosley out wide, Anthony Evans in the slot, and his guy in the slot, especially when you go four receivers, the fourth will be Ricky Johnson, redshirt freshman from Georgia. And this is what I see. So those are your four guys. Those are your top four guys at receiver according to all these notes and all that kind of. They'll play more, but these are your top four according to these notes. Brennan Thompson, transfer from Oklahoma. Jordan Mosley, pass transfer from Northwestern. Anthony Evans, a transfer this year from Georgia. And Ricky Johnson, a freshman. And here's what I see. Top four receivers. Here you go. You ready? Listen to these numbers. Last year, Brennan Thompson, 19 receptions, 2 touchdowns. Jordan Mosley last year, 23 receptions, 3 touchdowns. Anthony Evans last year. No, I'm sorry. Anthony Evans in his career to this point. $13 receptions. Ricky Johnson, redshirt freshman from Georgia, 6'2", 185, really good looking, promising player. Played in 4 games last year for State, no catches. 0. We got high school stats for him. So, again, I mean, the guys who caught passes for you last year mostly are gone. They transferred out. The one went to where, I don't even know where he went. I don't know. But here's the 4 dudes at the top that lead the pack, and it's a very talented group, and there's a bunch of them. It's deep, and there's more that aren't on here that have played. There's one guy that transferred in from, where is it, Michigan State, older guy. He's got a ton of catches and stuff over his career, but he's not in these top four. These top four that we're going to track right here on this list, that are listed as starters, one of the four has no career catches. And the other three, I'm going to do some quick math in my head. You ready for this? If we look at just this past year, the other three, one was at Oklahoma, one was at State, one was at Georgia. Those three have a combined, this should be easier. Hang on. Say 40, it'd be 42, it'd be 52, 55. Those other three combined for 55 catches last year. That's not a lot. So, and experience too. So it's not just line of scrimmage, new faces, new out wide catching balls. You're going to play Southern Miss, okay? And then in comes Arizona State, who got better as the year went on last year and scared Texas to death in the college football playoff. And as Jason in Flagstaff points out, they got just about everybody back. He said, who's going to emerge from the new Big 12 as a regular playoff threat? Arizona State's coach seems to think they will be a blue blood in there in the Big 12. He said, I'm struggling to come up with legit reasons why they can't. He said, they're off to a good start because they kept most everybody from last year's team. That, to me, in this era, you keep a team together from one year to the next. There's a lot that it says. It says that the players like where they are. It says that that organization is really shoveling out the cash to keep them there because they like them. And it says that, they probably believe in the direction of the team and that they're going to have opportunities that's going to make them a player. Unnamed texter said, look at Kevin Coleman's stats before he teamed up with Levy. Levy made Coleman. See, and that's it. Okay, so Kevin Coleman, he went to Missouri. Yeah, so he's at Missouri. Last year, he had just a hair under 1,000 yards receiving and 6 touchdowns. And prior to that, he had only like a handful of catches in 23 and about half of that in 22. But the 2 previous years combined, wherever he came from, and I don't even remember where it was, Louisville, the 2 previous years combined, 22-23, he still didn't have as many touchdown catches as he had last year for Levy. So, yeah, I mean, that's the deal. Look, and I've seen it with my own guys. This group of receivers that bump his ass, they can play, and they can run. And there's a bunch of them, and it's a deep group. The thing is, when they do it this year, it'll be the first time any of them have done it in terms of being the bell cow type of thing. Does that make sense? That's what I'm talking about with it being new. I know that for the most part, we don't have to keep hammering that point home. It's just that every now and then I see something, like looking at these notes, and it jumps up at you again. You go, wait a minute. Jimothy Lewis, big-time prospect, 6'6", 320 from Ridgeland. / didn't he go to IMG? Left tackle. Going to play a bunch of snaps for you at left tackle. He played in 4 games last year, period. It's all new. See you tomorrow. See ya.